I'm genuinely convinced that my car hates me. Got my car running, and actually running really good, but once again, the car decided to just spit coolant everywhere. So after it cooling good and actually running really good because it's been cooler, so the superchargers have been really loud and the car's been running really well, it overheated to the point where it actually was only running on probably like 4 cylinders. It would barely move for a second, and then it cooled down about 20 degrees and then was able to go until I could get home, and then all was good except for my car not running. So here's what I think happened. Alright, so here's the radiator. It's completely aftermarket. It's an aluminum radiator. But the cap that was on it was all, so it got, for pre-story, it broke before, and I had to get the cap off because I was checking, you know, if it still had coolant in it before I went down and tore down the motor, which it had hardly any, and I ended up having to tear down the motor, which you can see in one of my previous videos. But it was stuck on there. I could not for the life of me get it off, so I had to hammer it off, and that damaged the flanges that actually hooked onto the radiator right here. So see, it's one of these setups where you set it here and then twist it around. So that broke, okay? And I never replaced it. So what happened was I was driving, and then I felt a air bubble in the car, and I already burped out the coolant, so there shouldn't have been any air. I felt an air bubble going through the pipes. It caused them to actually clank under my floorboards, and then the car started overheating really bad after it running perfectly fine. So hopefully today the fix is just going to be use new radiator cap, which is just off of a 2000 Grand Prix GTP. This one's a 16-pound radiator cap. The old one is an 11-pound radiator cap. And then I'm going to refill and then burp the coolant again. Unfortunately, because of where my radiator is, I gotta take this off to do it. So let's get to it. I've had to do this before, but normally I do this with 2 people. So because it's it can be a little tricky getting it off, but I'll figure it out. I grabbed my prop rod because I don't have anything to hold up the hatch, so this is what I use. So I'm gonna see if I can't hold this up some way. Yeah. Well, we'll see if it actually does. Gotta be careful with these bolts down here. I dropped one night and almost lost one for good. And I don't have extra, so if I lose something, it's not going to have it for a long time. We do things with a Pittsburgh toolbox, not a big one. No power tools. We do have a breaker bar though, and an O'Reilly's torque wrench. Those help. Let's hope this doesn't come down and give me permanent brain damage. I wouldn't be able to do things the incorrect and cheap way on YouTube anymore if I go into a coma. So. Tony, every time I am ready to start working on doing the actual performance mods on this car, besides, you know, the 3800 supercharged motor that's already in it, something like this happens. I go, probably shouldn't do that yet because the car doesn't run. Everyone always says that you should get the car running before you start trying to make it faster. And most people say that's good advice. I don't know, I say only live once. This is where it's going to get very tricky. I'm not really sure how I'm going to go about this, in all honesty. But, I'll figure it out. Pop rod's gonna fall. Come on. Get off of there. Recommend that. All right, got that off, and not fun. Here's a look at the radiator. Very fancy schmancy, but it was on it when I bought the car. I cannot afford something like this. So if it wasn't there when I bought the car for a really good deal, I might add, it wouldn't have been there. Alright, and now we got the old Amazon coolant thingy. I'm gonna get this on there. Alright, and then we just put this bad boy in there. This is also where I'm gonna figure it out, because this thing doesn't like to just stay upright. I also usually have someone to help me with this part too, so guess we're just gonna have to figure it out. It actually feels like October now. Didn't really before. There was 80 degrees every day, which isn't help when your car has been is prone to overheating apparently. But, you know. Before you say anything, I know you're supposed to have the car running when you're doing this, so I'm just filling it up because it lost a lot of coolant. I just don't know how much. There's a trick Chris Coulter does from Schwa Motorsports. Leaking a little bit there, only a tiny bit. Where he gets the car going actually warm and then vents the coolant pipe until it starts leaking out the thermostat a little bit, and usually he gets all the air out that way. I don't quite understand how to do that, if I'm being 100% honest with you, so I'm just going to keep doing it this way, and hopefully we can get somewhere with that. Gonna be good. I start the car. See, now I'm fighting with this likes to fall down, and so does my camera mount apparently. So just I bought two things of cooling because this thing's thirsty. Uses a lot. some good bubbles here, especially every time it surges. I'll make note of that. Yeah, it's a lot of air coming out. Also, I'm noticing this camera's making it look a lot darker than it is. This is very light green, as coolant should look. That nice neon color like the Ninja Turtle serum. The separation between the surges is getting larger the more it bubbles. I wonder if that was a correlation, or I'm not really sure what's going on at this point. The car had a super bad surge when I first got it, like it was almost dying. And then I put a 3-bar map sensor on it instead of a 2-bar. And then that cleared up the idle. And then it started having issues again, and then the idle went back to doing the surging. But this is better than it used to be. Now I think it just needs to be tuned. That's since the motor's been taken, like the top end of the motor's been taken apart twice now. Alright, we got the car on the opposite angle now, so it's not a very big decline, but it is a decline. So I had it over here, and now I turned it around. So the rear end's up instead of the front end being up now. So we're gonna see if that makes any bit of a difference. I let the car get completely cold, and then we're gonna let it run until it gets warm again. That should be it. Here's an engine bay shot of the surge going on. That obviously gets some good bubbles over here. It's getting warm again. We can check the temp gauge. So oddly, with the temp gauge, I don't think it reads correctly until it starts reading hot. So it doesn't read correctly, it'll go all over the place, but then when it consistently stays at 220 and above, it's when it's overheating, and I only know that from experience. Car's kind of a pain sometimes. Okay, so we've done 2 cycles now with relieving the air out of the coolant. Okay, so I think it should be ready. It's starting to sprinkle a little bit, so I need to get the hood on. But before I do that, we're gonna test drive it. So I'm just gonna take you with me. are you doing? Dumbass. Don't pay any attention whatsoever. did fall over and spilled. So I don't know